All right, CNT125, inter VLAN routing, our packet tracer lab. So we just got done doing our subnetting and then putting the usable IP addresses on our network map, the subnets and usable IP addresses on our network map. And I did a quick screen capture, so I have my network map here. That way I can keep moving through my lab and my directions, but always have my map handy. That's usually a handy thing to do. All right, I now have opened the packet tracer lab that is on D2L4U. What you'll notice is this might look a little odd right now, but if I go to the physical tab, come in here to our corporate office, our home wiring closet, I made this kind of look like your lab table. The only difference is I added a third PC, which is going to make our lab work a little bit easier. So here's normally the two PCs we have. Here's the two switches in your rack and the two routers, the 2811 and the 4221, if you will. So I tried to make this look like your lab table, but I did add a third PC, so it kind of looks like this. So I'm actually going to do some of it from here, and then I can do some of it from the main screen. So the first part of this lab is we need to cable this up so that I have my PCs in my switch and my switch into my router. And I'm going to use the 2011 router. In this case, it's this guy right here. If I zoom in a little bit, I tried to put labels under here. Here's the top switch, bottom switch, 2011 router, 4221 router. So I will use the, it really doesn't matter which switch you use, just keep track of what you're doing. I'll use the bottom switch in my rack and the 2011. I'll connect these two. And I think actually if I go out here to the logical, I have the top switch next to it. So I will use the 2011 top switch, the bottom and the 4221 I'll leave alone. So I'll use the top switch and this router. So in here, I need to cable the Fast Ethernet 00 port on the router to the Fast Ethernet 24 on the switch. And since they are unlike, I will use a straight through cable. So I got to find the 00 port. There's 01. I'm going to look for 00. I'm going to do 00 on the router. And in this case, I am using the top switch port 24. Okay. I now want to cable up the workstations. We need the first PC, we need to be in one of the VLAN 10 ports, which are VLAN 10, if I look carefully, is 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 12. Okay. So I need this first PC into 1 to 5 ports. So I'll do another straight through, and actually I think I'm going to zoom out on this one just a little bit. Make it a little bit easier to see. I'm going to go my straight through cable into my Fast Ethernet here. And I'm going to go to 1 to 5, so I'll use port 1. It's into a VLAN 10 port. Now the next PC, we need to be in a VLAN 20 port, which is 6 to 10. So here's my PC 2. And I'm going to go over here to 6 to 10. Here should be 5. There's 6 on the bottom. There's 6. And then PC3 out here, which is a little handier than our lab table. But here's PC3. I'm going to cable him up. And he needs to be in 11 or 12. So I'm going to put him into, there's 11. Okay. So we now have this cabled up. And if I go back to the logical view, you'll see it looks like just like the network map. But I did it this way so you could see what does it look like if I'm sitting in the lab room cabling it up, which is really important. You'll be doing this kind of cabling for future labs, literally this kind of setup for future labs. So if you want to, you can now go back to logical and do everything here if you wish. So the next thing I need to do, let me go to our lab here. We're going to console into the switch, configure the switch with name, IP, VLANs, etc. Okay, so if I want to, I can actually click on this switch and click the CLI tab, and that will like console me in, if you will. So I can go that way if I want. Enable, config T, and this is a nice big review of the VLAN lab we did. We're going to put a host name on this guy, and 2960, I'm doing top switch. Okay, over here, I think I just called it top switch or 2960 switch. I'm calling it top because that's the one I'm using. We need interface VLAN 1. We need the IP address of this guy, and we need to follow what we did over here. 172.16.02, followed by my subnet mask that I created, 192.0. Okay, I'm following the subnet mask I created, 192.0. And I'll say no shutdown. So there is my IP address on the switch. That's the only one I need. It's a layer 2 switch. Now I need my 3 VLANs. VLAN 10, name, we're calling it staff. VLAN 20, name, voice. And then VLAN 30, name, I think wireless. Yeah, this is where having a picture of your map handy makes this a little bit easier. We now need to assign the ports. That's the next thing we're doing down here. Here's the VLAN name and number and name. And now we need to do the range, interface range. Okay, so I'm going to do interface range, FA0/1-5. So the first 5 ports. We're going to say switch port, access, VLAN 10, exit. I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to use the up arrow. I'm going to use the up arrow here. 6 to 10, up arrow, VLAN 20. And that allows me to speed this up a little bit. Up arrow, 11 to 12. Just make sure you're editing the right numbers. VLAN 30. Now, while I'm at it, I'm going to do a quick show VLAN and make sure these look right. I'll make this a little wider just so it shows easier. 10, 1 to 5, VLAN 20 voice, 6 to 10, VLAN 30. Looks like I missed 11 in there. So let me go back and redo that. I might have done a typo and not realized it. So interface range, FA0/11 to 12. And we'll say switch port, access, VLAN 30. So let's do a show run. And there we have 11 and 12. Good. Let's do a show VLAN. There we go, 11 and 12. Looks like I might have done a typo on that and missed the 11. I might have tried to put in 10 or something. But that's why you do the show commands and verify, does it look right? I always do the shows. Last thing we need to do is our trunk port. So config T, interface, fast Ethernet 0/24, switch port, mode trunk. Exit. And again, we'll do another exit. I'm going to do a show run and make sure down here under 24 we see trunking, switch port mode trunk. And our IP address and everything looks good. So I'll do a copy run start. And that is what we needed for the switch. We'll come back in the next podcast and walk us through the configuration on the router.